Alright guys, you got to watch this video before buying a cruiser in Australia. We're going to talk about the best and most popular LAMS approved cruisers in the country. We've got the Kawasaki Vulcan 650, the Harley Street 500, the Braaap Cruiser 400, and of course XVS 650 is customized. These are all available on our lease fleets. We don't really have any way to lean. We're going to talk to you about our leasing program. You can ride any of these when you're a member. Free bike swaps, you probably heard the spiel. And then of course we're going to talk about why we believe the Cruiser 400 is the best value cruiser in the country. But obviously we're here just to look at all the differences. They're very unique and different in their own right. You got the Harley Street 500, which of course, if you're going to buy that, you're going to start logo first. You're going to start brand first, and that's cool. People love that. The 650 Vulcan, most modern of the bikes, I'd say. So if you're more after the modern specs and maybe the highest capacity, that's probably the one you want to talk about. And then of course the classic, I'd say it's more of the gentleman's end of the spectrum as the XVS 650. But the first thing I want to talk about with the XVS is you're buying an older bike. Now, our goal at Braaap is to create a dilemma. Do you buy a brand new Braaap with a lifetime warranty, or do you buy a used name brand bike, maybe 10 or more years old, and take the risk of a used bike and also the risk of the roadworthy, which is getting stricter and stricter here in Australia. So anyway, that's just something to talk about. Of course, if you're thinking about it, come join the lease fleet and just try them all. So here's a few notes I prepared. We're going to talk about sizes. So seat height, you're really talking about the lowest one being the Harley, and you can actually tell that when you ride it. It feels the lowest and also feels the longest. It's a bit of a unique riding position on the Harley because you see the Vulcan, the foot pegs, and on the XVS, the foot pegs are significantly further forwards, where the Harley have them back a bit forward. So it's a comfy ride. It's really good if you're just new into riding as well. But a lot of experienced guys want to upgrade their Harleys and put the forward pegs on it. On the Cruiser 400, we've really tried to go in the middle. So you can see there is a foot peg extender to bring them forwards a little bit. Makes it really comfortable. If I sit on it, I'm about 5'10", 5'11", you can kind of see pretty comfortable seating position. And then let's get me sitting on the Harley as well. The thing you'll notice is the pegs are back a bit further. Yeah, so your legs are a bit more straight up and down, especially if you're a taller rider, you'll really notice that. Something that, bit of feedback we get for the taller riders on the Harley, especially. Now on the Vulcan, you can see they're right forward. So, I'm stretched out. If you're a taller guy, you're gonna love that. If you're a bit shorter like me, all good. And then over here, you got the XVS 650 again. That's stretched right out too, so taller riders are going to love that. They're all low seat height bikes, so if you're a shorter person, you're going to be sweet. It's a question we get asked mostly on these videos is, what's it feel like if you're a bit taller or a bit shorter? So I'd say the biggest thing to note is the Harley is going to feel a bit more cramped if you're a really tall rider. Next we're going to talk about is fuel tanks. So at the Braaap end, we've got 13 litre tanks. You still get really good range out of that. You're probably talking like 3-4 litres for every 100 Ks. You've got a 16 litre tank on the XVS at the end there. That's the biggest. And then the Harley and the Vulcan both have 13.1 and a 14 litre tank. So you've got good range on all of the bikes, the cruiser style bikes. I would say the trend that we're noticing is cruisers are becoming one of the most popular bikes for commuting and for learner approved guys. So that's why we've really invested for our fleet. We've got dozens of cruisers in the fleet now. I've got a heap of Harley 500s, got a heap of the Braaap 400s. This has become our most popular bike at the moment, this month and next month. We're delivering more of them than anything else in our fleet here. And then for the fleet, we've got, I think, only a couple of Vulcans and then a couple of XVSs, the V-Stars. For me, I think the big question is, what does it feel like speed-wise when you're riding? You can go elsewhere and get all the actual specs on horsepower and stuff like that. But on a cruiser, it's really interesting because the weight affects it a lot. Like, let's just look at weights here. So on the Braaap, you're talking 165 when it's wet, 130 dry when it's delivered. So, probably about 155 if you got a little bit of petrol in it type thing. Then you're talking for the Harley here, 233 kilos. So significantly heavier. The XVS is 232, and funny enough, the Vulcan is 223, so all similar numbers, but so yeah, you're significantly heavier than the Braaap, which means at the smaller capacity, you're talking a 400 twin with a significantly lighter setup on the Braaap, gives it that similar, they all feel pretty similar kind of off the lights. I would say the Vulcan definitely and the XVS feel more like your highway bike. So if you're going to be going long distance, I would be saying the Vulcan. They are the heaviest, got the biggest tanks, got the biggest capacity engine. But if you're riding through town and just having fun, that could become a burden to you. Definitely for me, the biggest thing I noticed on the Harley was how raked out they feel. The front wheel feels raked out, which means the handlebars have this, probably the best way to explain it if you're on YouTube and watching this is the handlebars don't feel as intuitive to turn. Where on the Cruiser, it's much more balanced, probably a bit more like your sort of more relaxed sort of cafe or say sports bike or adventure bike where the turning is very natural. On the Harley, it doesn't feel overly natural. I'd say the Vulcan's pretty good at that though. The Vulcan doesn't feel super raked out. It's not trying to be a super raked out bike. It turns pretty well. It is heavier, you can feel that, but it does turn well even in slower speeds. And then the XVS definitely has that raked out feel too. Not as much as the Harley, but when you're riding the XVS, the Yamaha, that the thing, is a bigger bike, so you kind of expect that. So it's interesting. Probably the big thing that I'm going to say is that if you're looking to get a Cruiser is come and lease and join the program and try them all out. If you do want to, you just know you're locked in, you want to build something, we're trying to make the Braaap the ultimate blank canvas so you can build your own. So check out all the bobber kits, the white walls, the tall bars, all the stuff we have on those. They're super popular. And then of course, let's talk price point, because you can't really look at this unique fleet and not talk price point. I'm not going to quote prices here because it'll probably change, depends on when you're looking at it. But obviously the Braap's like half to a third of the price of these brand new. So that's a huge selling point. And if you're looking for a bike that's only going to be for a window of time, like your learners, I don't think most people are going to buy a Harley aspired to buy a Street 500. Alright guys, go to watch this video if you're looking to buy a LAMS approved cruiser. These are the 3 mistakes that we see LAMS approved cruiser buyers make when they're looking for their new bike. Check this out. So the thing to consider, the #1 mistake that we see people make when they're buying a LAMS approved cruiser is that they don't calculate the cost of the buy and sell if you're only keeping this bike for a couple of years, a short window of time, maybe for your learners. Period, or your restricted license period. So if you're going to customize and go to town, the Harley's certainly not the cheapest or price point focused in any way to do that. You'd already know that, but that's just a big thing. The other thing is most people looking to buy a Harley going to buy a used one. This one here is like 6 years old, and it's still twice the price of a brand new Braaap with lifetime warranty. But I just want to point out that the second point when buying a LAMS approved cruiser, the big mistake we see is you don't calculate the cost to get it roadworthy. So obviously the roadworthy, the cost, but the roadworthy prep, it's getting stricter and stricter across the whole country to get a used bike prepared for roadworthy. For example, in Victoria, my dad does roadworthies. He's got to have his iPad up, it's on video. They can't fluff it in any way. So that means the mechanics can't just do you a favor. So it's getting more and more expensive to get your bike roadworthy if you bought a used bike. And we generally just say, look, if you bought a used bike, just in your mind think 500 bucks you're gonna have to spend to get it ready, just on surprises that might come up. Of course you could get lucky, but that's just wisdom from seeing hundreds of bikes get roadworthy. There's always a $500 surprise when you buy a 6 or 8 or 10-year-old bike, or even just a couple-year-old bike. This one here, probably only about 4 years old. So that's just the second point that we see people make. The third thing is we see people buy a bike that is not quite what they want, and then they haven't calculated the cost to go and make it what they want. So obviously the journey of customizing your bike is a part of being a motorcyclist. I don't want to suppress that. I love it. I spend stupid amounts of uncalculated money on motorcycles, so I know the feeling. But it is a really important thing to think about, especially if you're buying a bike that's just for your learner period. Like your Harley, for example, you're going to go customize the hell out of it. The labor cost to fit those parts is very rarely calculated by riders. That's a thing we see all the time. Same with the Kawasaki and the XVS. Difficult to find a mechanic that's affordable to fit all that stuff. It's very hard to quote that stuff. So keep that in mind. Obviously at Braaap, we're trying to do our price point for our parts stupidly aggressive so you can afford to customize it and make it sick. But it is a point to, the reason I'm getting this point is most of the time your custom expenses won't add value to the bike when you resell it. So just keep that in mind, that customization is often a write-off. So watch this before buying a cruiser. You've been riding all these bikes here, so...
Yeah, it's been a very bad week for me. Unfortunately, you know, my day-to-day looks like riding a new bike every day, so I hate it. It sucks. It's awesome. I started off the week on the Harley. Love that. We actually had another one in that the baffle was kind of missing, and it was super, super loud. And really fun to ride, very responsive. And then I took the Vulcan for a spin the other night. Real chunky bike. Loved it, but I felt like I was driving a little truck. And then I had the V-Star last week for a couple of nights. I've actually got a Yamaha Virago 250, and when I came off that and back onto my 250, I thought, yeah, it's time for an upgrade. So yeah, definitely looking at higher capacity now that I've had 3 years of learning. Yeah, yesterday took the cruiser for a spin. Definitely a fun bike. Check out my YouTube, I've done a review on it already. I love this bike, it's super fun to ride. Really intuitive on the clutch control and the throttle response. And perfect if you're just getting into it. You know, you're looking at getting a motorcycle and you've never really ridden one before. Easiest bike to ride in Australia. I'm standing by that.
We've got about half the customers who buy the cruiser are learners, the other half are just enthusiasts who want to build a bike and customise.
And I reckon they're great for commuting around town. Like any of these that you find, you know, probably the last two here, the Kawasaki and the V-Star, as you said, are more for your longer endurance rides, maybe even touring. If you're just whipping up to Woolies or, you know, to the cafe or something, albeit it's not a cafe racer, it'll still get you there. It'll get you there pretty quick too. Having been on these bikes for quite a long period of time now, they couldn't be more similar. I mean, the only difference is like the 100cc, but you know, in terms of comfort and styling and stuff, they're pretty on par with each other. So sorry, Harley Davidson fans, if you're going to grill me for that one.
So after selling and, you know, being around Braaap cruiser riders and stuff, like what's the most common reason why, and do you know anyone who's bought a cruiser that you know, why did they buy a cruiser over the other ones?
Oh, it just came down to cost. You know, affordability. You get a brand new motorcycle with 0 Ks on it and a lifetime warranty for less than $5,000. Whereas, you know, even a second-hand Harley Davidson Street 500 goes anywhere between 9 and 12,000. So for a fraction of the price, you're basically getting something quite similar. I won't say the same because it doesn't have the badge, but you know, you're all about like looking cool and stuff. It's great.
Why didn't your brother? So what's your brother buy?
Oh yeah, so my brother ended up getting a cruiser, which should be coming very soon. And the reason he got it was he is quite a tall, I don't want to say heavy because he's going to get angry at me, but he's a big bulky boy, and the cafe racer and the sport bike just wasn't really suited to him.
The Braaap ones, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. The Braaap Moto 4 and the cafe racer ST250 weren't very suited to his style of what he wanted to be riding, and I guess you could say also size and posture. Yeah. So once I showed him all the cruiser videos and stuff, and I actually borrowed one for a day and took it to his work, and I was like, have a sit on it, mate. And he fell in love straight away. So that was before he got his learners. And then a couple of months later, jumped on it, bought a cruiser, and now he's just playing the waiting game ever so patiently. So
he's leasing a bike in the meantime?
Yeah, he's leased a bike, the Haisong GVS.
Oh, the cruiser we got in the fleet.
Another cruiser.
Yeah, so I had that on the video.
Learning how to ride a cruiser while he's waiting for his cruiser to be built.
I like it. So tell me this, I think this is an interesting point. Why didn't you push your brother in to buy a Harley 500 or buy a Vulcan 650 or buy an XVS 650?
Yeah, so there's a few reasons. He'd never been on a motorcycle before, so he hadn't experienced riding or anything like that until he'd done his test. And having a 250cc bike for him, like he was doing a bit of freeway travel as well.
Yeah.
And I found that with these, specifically the Cruiser 400s, if you need to get out of a jam or get around a car that's, you know, doing the wrong thing or on their phone or something, this has got just enough power, especially for a learner, to quickly maneuver out of that.
Yeah.
So, and I wanted him to feel safe and have that bit of backup and reliability, basically. So for me, on my 250, Like I can get there, but very slowly. And
What do you have?
I've got the Virago XV650. But I love that bike. It's a little rocket, but you know, very slow. So yeah, it was more about him being able to, you know, feel comfortable and have that sort of backing from his bike that if you need to get out of a jam, you know, you got that.
So you thought you wouldn't push him into a 250 because of that. Why didn't you push him into the Harley 500 or the Vulcan or the 650 Yamaha?
Yeah, well, sorry Connor, but you know, he's pretty poor, so. No. I didn't, for the same reason I didn't do it. I didn't want to drop, you know, all this money on a bike that I didn't know how to ride, and he didn't know how to ride. So it was more about like, okay, if I can drop under $5,000, get a brand new motorcycle, have the reliability and the warranty, and it looks cool, it was basically a no-brainer for him. Like he's already going through the upgrades and options about what he can do and mods to the bike and stuff. So I don't know, you can't just walk into a Harley dealership and say, yeah, can I get a lifetime warranty on this Road Glide? And you know, he's been riding for a month now and looks way too comfortable on the bike. So it'd be good for him to sort of experience a little bit more power and see what that's like for him on the freeways and stuff.
Yeah.
Saying it looks like that guy doesn't want to be there.
Who was that?
Someone.
Me or you?
No, me.
Really?
Yeah, I was going to reply. Yeah, she's got a paid actor, mate.
Not a paid actor. That's funny. Alright, cool.
Find it hard on camera sometimes. You don't want to say like or but or
Yeah.
You really want to get the words across.
No, you do really good.
I reckon we should do a sound test.
Yeah, let's do it.
Most important part of the video, sound test. This is the Cruiser 400 from Braaap with the C4 Mega, so give it to us.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Next.
Alright. Stock exhaust on this Harley, yeah?
Looks it, yeah. Might measure it out, let's see.
That nice whistle.
Yeah, that thing wants to bark. That thing wants aftermarket on it for
It really
sure.
does, yeah. Same with the Vulcan stock exhaust.
Oh. Down front there, giving it to us.
A little bit quieter.
Revs hard, actually.
It really does.
Wow,
yeah.
that surprised me.
You're gonna love the freeways on that one. Alright, I'm a little bit biased with this because I do like the Yamaha. Classic Yamaha, kickstands go up. And the kill switch off. Yeah, that one revs a lot higher too. All standard mufflers on them. Still sound pretty cool.
Nice.
I'm a sucker for a loud pipe though.
Me too. All right, thank you guys for watching.